Welcome one and all to episode 3 of Titan Teatime. I'm one of your hosts, Petter, and with me I've got my two co-hosts, Steven.
Hello.
And James.
Sasageo!
And in this episode, we're talking about the most recent manga chapter once more, and this month it is chapter 121.
Indeed.
He's a big one.
It is. It was a very interesting one. Like, I feel like the past couple of chapters have all had very different, like, styles in a way, and like they've all been very major chapters. They've all revealed so much. Like, this arc is just crazy, and I love it.
It is pretty intense. almost like 3 different vibes, from these past, including this chapter.
Yeah.
Like, you had the chase scene with Eren, and then the past one was, seeing Ymir and the tree and whatnot.
Yeah.
And now we get into this chapter, which is almost, it's almost sinister in a sense, a tad. But anyway, sorry.
No, it definitely is. I guess let's move our way through the chapter a little bit and see where the discussion takes us. Right off the bat, we've moved up in time a little bit since the previous chapter. Eren is now almost 9 years old in the past here that they're revisiting.
When was the last flashback? When did that take place?
Well, it was
sure.
Eren was a baby in
okay.
At the end of the previous chapter.
So quite the big time skip here.
Yeah, a couple years.
Maybe he was like 3 or something like that.
Right? Yeah, it could have been. Yeah, but he wasn't old anyway.
No.
He was a little toddler at most. And we have, like, we see that Zeke has by now kind of understood that Eren wasn't brainwashed by Grisha the way Zeke was. And he's kind of understood that by now. And he asks the big question. He asks Eren, what did you plan on doing with the Founder's power? And like that's what we've all been wanting to hear. Like that's what's all what like every reader has been
exactly.
So curious about that. And we don't get obviously we don't get a complete answer in this chapter either.
No.
But we do get Eren saying things like he's like, I've always been this way ever since I was born. Like that's what he says. That's his response to the question that Zeke asks.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get this example in the shed where he and Mikasa killed the 3 traffickers.
Right.
And it's hard to know exactly, but like the way I've been thinking about it, about what Eren's plan might be, even though I don't have anything concrete in mind, is that it's gonna be something really like in character for him, like based on what he said, like based on what he told Zeke.
Yeah.
And he says that if someone is willing to take my freedom, I won't hesitate to take theirs. Is that a hint to what his grand plan is? I don't know. It could be, since this is what he kind of says after he's asked what his plan was. But I don't know exactly. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
I actually don't remember your answers, but I remember talking to you guys about, did you think that the conversation with Eren and Mikasa at the table, Mikasa and Armin and Eren, did you think that was in character or out of character for him to, insult Mikasa? Because from what he's saying in this chapter is more like, I've always been me. I've always done what I want to do. And I think you guys told me that conversation was, or could have been out of character for him. But I also think that this is the writer saying, no, it's Eren. Right?
I think you're, it was out of character for him because I think personally I think it was because he was acting that way in order to shield Mikasa and Armin in some way. Like that's not his true feelings. You know what I mean? Like he's hiding in that sense, just like how he hid his true intentions from Zeke the whole time.
Yeah.
or how he hid, as we'll see later, his plan supposedly.
Right. I just thought I'd bring that up again because
Right.
this scene to me is reinforcing, Aaron is Aaron. Aaron does what Aaron wants.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's always been that way.
And I think that maybe this shows that those other. I think last chapter kind of disproved those theories, but maybe this reinforces it even more, that he's not being. Well, maybe I don't. Maybe it doesn't disprove it, but I think it shows that it means he's not being controlled by, previous attack titans. I mean,
Yeah.
it seems like he's pretty much in control here, and this is what it's foreshadowing is that, I will do anything to keep my freedom, or I will, in order to take my freedom, I will hesitate to take others, as Petter pointed out.
Right.
Right.
And of course, regarding that table scene, as I guess we call it, with the main trio and that whole drama scene, it is definitely very, at this point we can't know anything for sure exactly. Of course, as James said, like a very popular theory, or is that Aaron doesn't actually feel that way. It's more like it's part of his plan to distance himself from his friends for whatever reason, I suppose.
Right.
Like a lot of people seem to have that idea about it, but we can't really know for sure. I also think that's
It's
likely.
true.
But I guess we'll have to wait and see. Everyone was surprised by Aaron saying those things. I think. I don't think anyone was expecting that. So in that regard, I guess it was out of character. To answer your question, Stephen,
Okay.
I probably did think it was out of character for Aaron to say that, which is why I'm probably also in the camp of people thinking that he only said it to distance himself from them.
Okay. I think that as well. I'm just saying this is the writer's way of, reinforcing that Aaron is control of himself, or is in control of himself.
Yeah.
That's just me.
I
Just
think
my
that's
point of
true,
view.
and I kind of see what you're saying now. I think that's true, but my answer stays the same because where he proves that he's in control of himself, we don't know that. Again, if he has ulterior motives in the sense that what he's saying isn't always like the truth. You know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
I don't. Perhaps the lying part is proven to be in character, but
Right.
him saying what he said is still not in character in my eyes. But
Yeah.
Okay. Could be a part of his plan, but yeah.
Could be. Who knows? Really?
Who knows?
Yeah.
I guess we'll find out in the future, but let's continue on. Let's continue forward.
Yeah, but one last thing, just before we, in regards to like what he says here about, like he won't hesitate to take the freedom of those that want to take his. Like Zeke is very much the complete opposite of that, where he instead will take away more of his people's freedom in order to serve his oppressors, in a way. Right? Because they're both Eldians, and the Eldian people are threatened by the whole world, pretty much. Zeke's way to solve it is to kill, or not kill directly, but to make his own race go extinct, so that the rest of the world can live happily. Aaron is in the complete other camp, and I'm wondering if his grand plan is based on that. It probably is.
I would agree, and it really makes you wonder again what the grand plan is, because in Zeke's case, as we said, they're opposites. In Zeke's case, it's get rid of the Eldian bloodline entirely. Like there's no more. Like we all die out. But so the opposite of that would be we thrive, and we remain a people. We retain our freedom. We do what we want, kind of thing. We live as human beings.
Yeah.
Is that going to lead to war? with other countries, and that's why maybe I'm jumping the gun here, and that's why you know Grisha seems horrified at it. I don't know. I guess we can get to that later, but
Yeah, no, I definitely see
it's
what
an
you mean.
interesting, yeah, it's an interesting thing to think about. But you do bring a good point. Throughout the series, it has been, if someone is willing to take my freedom, I won't hesitate to take theirs. I think that is his underlying motivation throughout the series.
Precisely. So I feel like his ultimate plan has to be based on that. Could it even maybe be that Eren wants to make the Eldians the most powerful people once more, as they used to be, like 2,000 years ago, or 1,000 years ago as well, like they were for a long time.
Yeah,
Like,
I could believe that.
that is an option.
would he want to do that again? Like, and I guess in that way he would be very similar to Grisha and the Eldia Resurrectionists and all that. Like, that's what they strived for as well.
Right. I think a theory that's been going around that I kind of just, also thought of was like, oh, Eren wants to get the founding Titan power and, get rid of the curse entirely and make it so no one can turn into a Titan. However, after this chapter, and after I read the chapter, I still thought that, but thinking about it more and letting it sink in, it really makes you wonder. Maybe you're right, Peter. Maybe he wants to restore that former power and have it so that the Titans do become, or the Eldians become, like the strongest people in the world. Like, I don't know. Like, that's definitely not the outcome everybody wants. I mean, not everybody as in the readers. I mean, everybody as in the world of the Attack on Titan. But that does kind of fit Eren's motive.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And I'm in the same boat as you. Like, before I read this chapter, I was also under the, like, or I also felt like the most likely solution or plan for Eren that he would have was to just, as you said, just take away the Titan abilities and curses and everything. And that way Eldians would become just like everybody else. But after this chapter, I'm like, it's probably going to be something more drastic than that. Like, they've been foreshadowing the rumbling for a good long while. Maybe something like that is going to happen. I mean, for example, there's a lot of options, really.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I would agree.
I'm kind of scared. Like, I'm excited to see what happens, but I'm also scared that this might end in a tragedy,
I think it will definitely end at least somewhat tragically, maybe even very tragically.
Surely somewhat tragic, but the way it's going right now, it almost seems like, yeah, it is tragedy. But I have my thoughts that it won't, but at the same time, it's
One can hope, right?
yeah.
Well, personally, I wouldn't mind it if it did end up being a tragedy. Ever since the
I guess
Marley
saying
arc,
one could hope is
right? But ever since the Marley arc, I've been under the impression that this is going to be a tragedy.
yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. It's hard to know for sure. But yeah, since about that time in the story, it's really felt that way to me anyway.
Indeed.
And yeah, the story continues in the chapter here. Eren is kind of putting a sick burn on his brother here.
Yeah. That's a mild way to put it.
I freaking love this because it basically just calls him out for being having daddy issues. It's like,
Basically.
man, just
Yeah.
like and I've been saying this for a couple of chapters now. I guess we've only been doing this for 3 chapters, but since the beginning I've been saying Zeke has daddy issues, and he's just hiding it with his his good for the entire Eldians. And I think like I understand where his point of view is, but I do think it all stemmed, as Eren politely points out, his continued denial of his father, or a man who's only denying define himself through the continued denial of his father's wish. Anywho, it's just nice to see him get called out on that, and maybe he realizes that a little bit here.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of he like, the thing is, Zeke responds to that, and he doesn't fight it exactly, like
That's true. Well, and that's good. You know, kind of accepts it.
he just kind of builds onto that,
Builds on it. Yeah, yeah.
sort of, right? When he says, "If so, that man is grateful to his father."
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but I do like how he kind of like accepts that, you know, yeah, well, okay, so maybe I do have daddy issues, but, you know, I'm in the end, like, this has led me to the choice I want to make, and this is how I'm gonna try to save the world, so I do appreciate that, but then, you know, as you know, Zeke tries to give his philosophical spiel or little saying there, Aaron is looking back at his 9-year-old self who's with Mikasa here.
Yeah.
And this is an interesting shot because we've seen the red scarf. Obviously, this is a famous red scarf that Mikasa's had the whole time. Well, this red scarf is currently not in her possession.
Right.
She left it, and I'm sure what's her name, the little girl that idolized. I guess she's not a little girl anymore, but the girl that idolized her, I'm pretty sure she took it or did something with it, but
Possibly, maybe.
it's possible. We don't know.
Yeah.
She was looking at it as Mikasa left. But anyway, I feel like that scarf might play a significance. But also this interaction, to me, goes back to what Stephen was saying with the table scene. In that, it's very much possible that what he was saying about Mikasa, how he feels like she's not free, how you know, she kind of acts like as a servant. That's the only reason why she protects Aaron.
Yeah.
You know, he dislikes that. So maybe in a sense that was the truth. However, him going as far as to say as he hates Mikasa because of that, and I guess continue on to say how he kind of hates Armin too, is not the real truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
But
Right.
I mean, I don't know why. He goes, obviously we don't know why, but Isayama focusing on this shot in particular, you know, he doesn't just do that randomly. Like, there's a reason for that.
While Zeke is talking, we see, I think for 3 panels, we see Aaron looking at his younger self and Mikasa. On the three panels here until we see it more clearly in the third one, like he's looking at his younger self as he puts on the scarf on Mikasa, and that look in his face, it doesn't look, or what do you guys think that look is?
Well,
like?
it looks sad to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't look like he's remembering it fondly. It looks like he's more. I don't want to say pity. I mean, it could be pity, but I feel like there's sadness there, and you know, you do wonder why that is. You know, is it because Aaron's going to sacrifice his life in some way? Is it because he feels like this is the moment where Mikasa devoted her life to him, and he feels bad because of that? I don't know.
Or is it because he does care about her and he feels bad about saying what he said at the table?
Oh, that's a good point.
That also
that's
could
very
be it,
optimistic of you.
There's a lot of
Yeah, it's true.
like, it's a very dubious expression that he's got there. Like, it's really hard to like completely know what it is.
I think it's based around regret. I feel.
Definitely could be.
It could.
Yeah.
I mean, again, there's multiple possibilities what it could be, but I can see regret.
Could also be like, you know, maybe he misses the quote unquote simpler life he had.
That's actually another good
Simpler
possibility.
life he had with Armin and Mikasa.
Yeah.
I guess that could also be a part of it.
You know, I mean, I think it's safe to say that everything he's doing, besides, you know, my freedom, America. No, I'm just kidding. He's doing it for Armin and Mikasa as well.
Yeah.
Because as we know, with what is it, Aaron Kruger? Is that his name?
Yes.
Yes.
He said to do it for Eren and Mikasa, or Armin and Mikasa. So clearly, he has that in mind. And maybe I jumping the gun here.
No. I
'Cause
think
we
you're
haven't got to that
definitely.
point yet.
I think you're definitely right. And like, it's not just Armin and Mikasa like that he fights for. I think in general for
True.
like all of his friends, everyone that's close to him,
Yeah.
and like because he clearly cares a lot about like the other members of the 104th Training Corps, for example.
Agreed.
And like it's even to the point where in the Return to Shiganshina arc, at the end of that, where Eren kind of realizes that if Historia was to be made into a Titan, well, he kind of realizes those kinds of things earlier, like before a lot of other people, about how they could use her to strengthen him, or maybe she would even eat him. Or wait, no, she wouldn't do that because then she would be bound to the vow.
yeah.
But like basically that they would both be Titans, he and her, and thus have a lot of power. But he doesn't want to take that route because he doesn't want Historia to, to have to go through that. So even though it would have benefited him and his goals and his plans,
Yet she's
possibly.
on a farm.
Yeah.
On a farm, pregnant. I mean,
Like she's still very much also a slave to the story, or to
yeah.
Eldia, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I believe in quote. Remind me if I'm wrong. I believe it was Eren who was the one who suggested that she be on a farm and be pregnant. We don't obviously know the father, but I wasn't. I believe
remember.
Because I remember Eren was behind bars, and who was talking to him? Hanj was talking to him, and basically, I'm pretty sure she blamed him for that, or
I don't remember that.
No, I could be wrong, because obviously you remember stuff like that way better than I do. So I could be remembering.
I mean, I don't remember everything, so it could.
I
be
remember
that
that interaction with Hanj or Hanji.
Yeah, he was
but
behind bars.
there definitely was a conversation about that.
I don't think Historia was mentioned in that conversation.
Are you
Maybe.
sure?
I don't know.
I don't think so
remember.
either, but I could be wrong though. Like the biggest thing I recall from that conversation is how I guess they're joking about Eren being in that age where they shout out random things or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh no, I'm not talking about that. This is after the time skip. There's another time.
That okay,
Uh-huh.
yeah. So there's two scenes
Yeah.
where he's imprisoned and Hanji is talking to. Okay, okay. I see.
Correct.
Okay,
It's a
I got you
recurring
now.
theme, apparently. Yeah. that one.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the very beginning of this current arc.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I feel like, and that's part of where some of those flashback happens, where you see like the Japan Asian representative visit, the Eldians, and say, "Oh, Mikasa, we've been waiting for you, psych," and they just have some building was it railroads or building roads or something like that. They're basically industrializing the island. But in that they show what's happening to Historia, and I believe it was when Hanj and Eren were talking to it. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is, I could be remembering wrong. We'll have to look back at it.
Right.
I don't want to take the time to do that right now. So I'm sorry I even brought it up. But the reason why I brought it up was because I remember why I brought it up. Was because Eren has this plan for everybody. Oh yes, and you're saying how he cares deeply for everybody, and yet I don't understand why he's allowed Historia to be pregnant on a farm somewhere.
Yeah.
Why is that part of his plan? If it is, if it's not, then okay, well, whatever.
Right. And I will say that I don't remember that. I mean, I remember that conversation, but I don't recall it with as much detail, I guess, as some earlier parts of the story. So you definitely could be right about it being Eren somehow, but I don't personally recall.
To the
right
viewers, if you're listening, take my comment with a grain of salt, and if I'm wrong, feel free to mock me. Let me know.
Or you can call us out on it.
I said
do
mock
that
me,
too.
but calling out is fine too.
now. We will do all of it at once.
Anyway,
Yeah.
sorry to derail that topic.
Oh, don't mind. I don't mind it at all.
I tried to keep it on topic. I tried.
Hey, it's good. It's good. It's enjoyable conversation. At least I think so. It's Attack on Titan.
Yep.
So
True.
It's on topic.
It's Titan tea time.
It is. And yeah, we got Zeke, I guess, repeating his desire to be there as a mentor figure for Eren. Like we knew that already.
Yeah, he's still saying it though. He's like, I want to save you.
He's still trying.
like,
Yeah.
All right. I mean, he does. I know he does, but it's like, come on, man.
It's weird though, because Eren has made it so clear that he does not really want anything to do with Zeke. Yet Zeke
Right?
still is so adamant about,
I just don't.
being there
I
for
don't
Eren.
understand why. Is it just his stubbornness? Is that? I mean, because they're both stubborn, obviously.
Well, yes.
But is it just Zeke's stubbornness that he knows this is the right way and this is the way he wants it, and so he's going to try to save Eren no matter what? Or I mean, it can't be just because he has brotherly feelings for him. There's no way.
Yeah, they're like, as I think we said last episode, like those two being brothers specifically isn't really what what matters to Zeke. It's rather the fact that they have the same father, or at least that used to be the thing for him, because he thought that by having the same father they would have had similar upbringings, which turned out wasn't the case at all. But and he knows that by now, so I'm confused a little bit by why he keeps going on about this.
Yeah, indeed.
But yeah, we get to see Grisha preparing the books in the hidden drawer.
The false bottom drawer.
Yes, although it's not quite as cool as the one in Death Note. Oh, and we get this scene from the first chapter of the manga, but from a different perspective. In the kitchen with Mikasa telling Eren's parents that Eren wants to join the Service Corps, and his mother not liking that very much.
Yeah, this is what I really like about the last couple chapters, is we get to look through the earlier scenes, and I haven't started beyond, what was it, chapter 89. So it's interesting to see these past scenes drawn again.
Yeah.
And have new perspectives on them.
I actually pulled out the first volume of the manga from my bookshelf after I had read this, just to kind of reread this same scene as it was originally. And it's, of course, it's it's the same lines they say. They've skipped a few things, of course, in this new one, just to kind of keep it a little faster, since we've already seen it once before. But
Yeah.
what I thought was interesting is that even in the original, when Grisha says, "When I'll get home, I'll show you what's in the basement, what I've been keeping secret all this time," when he says that, he definitely does look out, and it looks a bit weird, in the original, he's looking out through the door while he says that, in a weird kind of way. And I wonder if Hajime Isayama had planned all along to have him look at something or someone, or maybe
No.
he just found a way to make it work. That's also but it does look weird, in the original chapter that this is from. It does look weird, and it's cool to see now that he's looking straight at Eren, and that gaze look
Right, yeah.
pretty intense gaze.
I
That is
think it's-
interesting.
I think it's cool now, but if you were to take this chapter out of it, that'd be a little convenient. But yes, I do think that this is a pretty cool frame. I will agree.
Definitely, and of course we see it from inside of the house in the original chapter.
Right.
So
We do
completely
not see the
different
window.
But
So it's a completely different angle. But so it makes it look as though he had, or it was planned, or this was originally like that, or maybe he did have a plan from the beginning.
Yeah, it really could be either way, but it definitely is cool. Despite and because in this one we're actually seeing his face while he says this line, and he's
Right.
It's like and unlike the whole shed situation from the last chapter, where we went on the rant.
in the last
two
episode
people
of the
staring out of it.
yeah, because that was that's probably nothing really. But yeah, we talked about that from chapter 12.
Oh yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
He's planned it all along.
So actually, before we go on, I have to correct myself. So I quickly looked it up, and
Okay.
I had misunderstood. So Aaron actually disagreed with the plan to
That makes more
have
sense.
Historia succeed Zeke as the Beast Titan and bear children, whatever.
right, right.
So and that makes more sense to your point that he cares about all of his friends, all the people in
Yeah, exactly, and
scouting.
especially since I definitely recalled him being against, using her strategically, because
And,
he valued her.
Right, right. And Hanj said that they haven't found a solution for it. And the reason why I confuse it because she accuses him of acting alone. And I guess I thought she accused him of Historia, becoming, going down that route.
I see.
I just misunderstood that. So that's my fault. But I'm glad I was able
cool.
to.
Yeah, you were able to repent that.
Yeah, yes, indeed.
Oh, and I like this shot with you see the miserable Grisha and then his two sons on each side of him,
Yeah.
and throughout this, the most recent bit of the show, or at least ever since they got into the Paths realm in the chapter before this one, Zeke has been dressed in all bright color, white presumably, maybe, and Aaron is dressed in black, and of course their hair colors as well, like light and dark colors. I guess it's the clash and the contrasts make it look pretty cool, I think. Especially when they're on each on one side of the panel with their father in the middle, who's and at this point kind of torn. He seems like he's on his way to the Rice family hideout, and maybe he hasn't made up his mind yet about what to do there.
Yeah.
And how many times have we seen this now in the story? I feel like they've kind of slow throughout the story they've been giving us little peeks of this scene, and now we finally get to see.
Yeah.
Right.
But to be honest, I didn't
But
think
now
we'd
we got
see
to
it
see
again.
even more of
Right.
it.
I thought we had already learned everything there was.
Yeah, and I can remember bits and pieces as well. It's like he keeps drawing it, and then we'll add more later.
Yeah, almost. It kind of feels that way. Because the first time I think was during the Uprising arc, when they're
Yes.
when they are
You're
in
right.
here, after Historia and Aaron were kidnapped and brought there, and when they're there with Rod Rice, and then when Historia and her father both touch Aaron's back, I think that's the first time he sees glimpses of this. But then
Right.
when he kisses Historia's hand at the end of the Return to Shiganshina arc, we see a little bit more. But apparently Aaron saw even more than we saw in that moment.
Right. Yeah. It's yeah, we'll get to that point. But I think because as we know, I thought we had seen everything about this, and that Grisha was doing what he thought had to be done for the good of
Yeah.
Eldian, no matter what it takes. And, Aaron had told Zeke that he didn't feel that was right or whatever. But now we get the revelation that there's more to the story. So to me, it wasn't piece by piece. I mean, maybe at the beginning, but I thought that we were done. We had seen all the pieces. We had seen the puzzle. But lo and behold, there is more.
Okay.
There is more to it, and it makes you wonder what other things do we think that are set in stone, but in reality,
Right.
there's more going on.
I think, as we're looking through this, I think the writer is trying to justify. He's gonna start justifying certain scenes the way he wants them, because of later on in the scene, we know that, or we are suggested that Grisha is influenced by Aaron in this scene in particular.
Yeah.
I think it's the writer's way of giving him a little bit of leeway, creative license, as it were.
Well, I'll touch on that, but let's
Yeah.
let's keep going and get to that part real quick, or cover
right.
anything before that before we.
But yeah, we had seen this first bit about with Grisha coming in, asking the king or Frida to do something about the Titans that are coming in inside Walmaria. We had seen that bit, and we obviously knew how it ended. But there was a lot in between here that we had no idea about.
Right.
And we get to see more about, I guess, the 145th King's ideology. I like how Zeke's comment about, he says, I think I could get along with that lady over there. Just to Frida.
I did laugh at that.
Because, I mean, they do share similar ideologies, I suppose. Although not identical ones, but it's just like a little bit of this weird comedy, I suppose.
Yeah, I think I'm in love.
Yeah, right. Yep.
But no, I mean, you know.
Yeah.
I feel that's a very human thing to say. But anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And then Zeke says, "You said you saw this memory before," and this is where it gets a little dodgy, or at least starts to get a little dodgy, at least in my point of view.
Do explain where you find it dodgy.
Yeah, what do you mean by dodgy?
No, I mean as the scene progresses, and we'll get to it as we go.
All right. I look forward to hearing about it.
Aaron gets increasingly, aggravated with what Grisha is saying because the scene is not playing out the way Aaron, thought it would. So then Aaron decides to. I can touch on that more as we go. But you can see in this panel here, Aaron is starting to get more angry at how Grisha is taking this scenario.
The intensity on Aaron's face is amazing.
Look at that.
Yeah, I love it.
Look at the way he drew his nose.
And that intensity, it was there when he, in the last chapter, I think, when he said, because I was born in this world, something like this. I think that intensity was there, but this, I don't know, this almost not scared me, but it just is this is almost sinister or.
Yeah.
You know what though?
I don't know.
You know what though? And this goes back to what he said at the beginning.
Maybe it's righteous fury. I don't know. And sorry, go ahead.
What Aaron
What
said.
do you think, Peter?
What Aaron said at the beginning of this chapter was that he was born this way. He's always been this way. Mm-hmm. And at the very beginning of the story.
That's true.
I think
That's
especially
true. I know where you're going with that.
After Shiganshina was destroyed and invaded, there's a line when he's on the boat. He's on the rescue boat, and he says I'm gonna kill all the Titans. But and that facial expression, that's similar to this. It's the same, just pure wrath kind of.
Yeah.
He's always had that. So
that's true. I didn't mean to make it sound like he's never had that, but just at this moment, it just. Because I wasn't expecting it,
Right.
It just seemed out of the blue that he just becomes enraged, and that's why it kind of just seems sinister. Not to say that he hasn't had that look before. I mean, you look even in this very chapter. You look at the beginning where you see young Aaron, and he's intensely yelling at his father.
Yeah.
That's the same kind of similar intensity. I just did not expect it at this moment of all things.
Right. Yeah, it is interesting because I think definitely I think it's true what Steven said about maybe the anger stems from the fact that he wasn't expecting his dad to act this way in this scenario. Could be
maybe.
that.
I'm not so sure about that.
I'm not 100%. What's your thought on that, James?
Well, my thought is that he knows what needs to be done, and I think he's upset that he has to persuade his father to do so, or like he's like very like intense in the moment, like he knows this is how it's supposed to be. This is how it's supposed to be done in order for it to, for things to go the way he needs it to go.
Right.
And
exactly.
And I don't necessarily think he's upset that his dad is a weakling, or that his dad is saying that, or he's surprised that his dad is saying it. It's more that he like has to have this intensity to to get it across to his dad that.
I could buy that, because very soon here, shortly after this, we see him getting even more pissed off, and he actually
right.
Yeah.
There's a moment where Grisha kind of just like looks back at Eren, because he can feel, and I think like that strong anger, fury can be felt, through that, because obviously we know that Zeke understands, not Zeke, Grisha knows that they're there, or he can feel presence there. But
exactly.
through this
Right.
way, like he can't ignore the holes that are being dug into the back of his head by Eren through his glaring.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If I use that expression correctly. But anyway, so I totally see what you're saying.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned earlier, although I couldn't find the right panel, like we had, it turned out it was later in the thing, but the way we get to kind of see more of the 145th King's ideology, and we hear it from Frida here, and I thought this was pretty interesting, is so long as we remain ignorant and accept the world's rage, we Eldians will be the only ones who have to die.
Oh.
Like, it is the same, like we knew that the 145th King had this very peaceful type of ideology, we knew about that.
So another idea came to mind is that what if Eren here isn't like his fury isn't coming out because he's trying to influence Grisha? I mean, I still think that could be a possibility, but what if he's just enraged about what Frida's saying? Like, what if she is saying is what's making him really mad, and Grisha is just desperately like, because Eren's getting mad somehow, he knows. And so he's trying to come to terms with her in some way, but he desperately tries to say, and then she tells him, no, we Eldians will be the only ones who have to die if as long as we remain ignorant. And at that point, Grisha looks behind him, and Eren's glaring. And so I think the reason why he's all upset is because he does not agree whatsoever with what Frida is saying.
Definitely, I could definitely see that, and that would absolutely be in character for Eren, with his pro-choice, pro-freedom, all that. Well, I'm not talking about abortion or anything.
I shouldn't laugh. I'm sorry.
No, I heard it as I said it. It sounded like I was talking about something entirely different. Anyway, I mean, it is what he stands for. Anyway,
right.
We get here. Grisha saying each of the 9 Titans is unique in its own way. Like, before we move on to his next phrase, just looking at that little bit makes me wonder. Like, this is basically a confirmation, or I guess maybe he doesn't know entirely, but assuming it's true what he says, that each of the 9 Titans, and with a lot of them we know obvious things, like the Armored Titan is armored, the Colossal Titan is colossal.
Right.
What's the deal with the female Titan?
Yeah, thank you. I don't even know. I really do wonder if...
Are we going to open up this rabbit hole for a third time in a third episode?
It's just so, that's the weird one.
Oh my god.
There's gotta be a point.
Especially since he says it so explicitly here.
For no reason. But then again, what if she does get eaten by someone, and a somewhat main character, I don't know who, no idea who, but what if she gets eaten by a main character, and so her whole point, Annie's whole point in being Crystal, was just so that the female Titan's power could be used for this last arc.
I could see that.
I think Annie fans or even some who aren't that big Annie fans might feel a little disappointed, a little cheated if that's the case.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure I'd be okay with it probably, but at the same time, I would feel bad and feel like maybe we didn't get enough closure with Annie for that, but I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's just me assuming. It could turn out totally different.
Right. And
You
it
do
really
bring it
depends
very-
on how the story goes about it, you know.
Yeah.
I cannot wait for the writer to either address this to finally solve our concerns, or never address it at all, so we can talk about it every episode.
I mean, it won't be many months left until the story is over.
It's true.
Yeah,
you know.
you're right.
I'm thinking at the latest, the last chapter is gonna come out in June. Is my predict, like at the latest, though it might even end before
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But
That's fair.
who knows? And so, what Grisha explains here, from long ago, the inheritor of the Attack Titan never obeyed orders. The Attack Titan is capable of seeing into the memories of its future inheritors. That's like the major, like, news. Mm-hmm. I guess I guess we could say in this one,
Yeah.
in this chapter. And oh boy, I don't know how much you guys have been keeping up with theories, like fan theories around the internet. But
Not
there's a
not
lot.
much.
Nope, I actually don't follow, like, fan
Other
communities
other
or anything like
other
that, so.
other than some just random hearsay or random like opinions. I don't like follow too many like Attack on Titan forums or read into too many theories,
Right.
just so that it's not necessarily spoiled, but so that my thoughts aren't mingled with others, which I guess is not maybe a great way to think about it. But anyway, I'm interested, but I am interested to hear if there's a theory that you have in mind.
I think
Yeah, did you find
I'll probably
anything, Tyler?
I'll probably talk a little bit about those theories once we've gone through the whole chapter.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, like in case I forget, remind me to. But I think I'll remember.
Alright.
But yeah, the Attack Titan can see the future, according to Grisha anyway. And I guess he's probably right.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's safe to say.
Especially since Kruger was able to see or to get memories of Armin and Mikasa. So that's definitely a thing.
I would say we finally got a pseudo explanation.
Yeah, no, yeah, totally. I'm
scene.
very.
It's not just a pseudo explanation; it's a straight up explanation. I'd
Yeah,
say.
yeah. I mean, it goes as far. It goes just as far as they don't say this is why this happened. Like they don't explain it to you like word for word, but yeah, it's basically an explanation.
Either way, I'm very glad that it's there. I can finally put that to rest.
Indeed.
Yeah. That's one thing to put to rest. There's still so much else
Yeah.
just floating around there.
Although we thought that we could put this whole scene with Grisha and Frida to rest, but lo and behold, there was more to it. So no,
Of course.
I'm just saying, never put anything to rest yet. You never know.
That is true.
Let me have this moment.
But I do agree. It's nice to have closure on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is definitely some kind of closure for sure.
It did feel very out of place. With Grisha and Kruger on the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was mysterious for a long time. It was just very
really
mysterious and weird. But that's one of the things I adore about this story is all the mystery and all the questions.
Yeah. Indeed.
Yep.
And here we see it. We expect Grisha to, without hesitation, transform into the Attack Titan and just immediately kill the Rice family. But here's the hesitation. He falls to his knees, dropping the knife on the floor, and he can't do it.
I can't kill
and
children.
this is what I was trying to allude to a couple times earlier. Is like, this is not how the scene was supposed to play out in Aaron's head.
Well,
I would say.
I think this is how it did play
He
out.
expected differently.
I don't even know about that. I think he knew who his father was, and I think that he knew this is how it plays out. But because Aaron was the one to manipulate, and to tell his dad basically to do so, it ended up it ended up the way it did happen. And it's kind of Back to the Future kind of stuff,
Yeah.
At least that's how I see it. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe you guys could disprove me or say
No,
otherwise.
I also think. I mean, the thing is, originally, when Aaron saw this scene, he didn't see this part of the scene, so he just didn't
True.
know about this. Like just like us, just like the viewers or the readers.
That's what I'm saying is like the expectation
Right.
of how this scene played out, right?
Right. And I guess in that sense, yeah.
Well, my feeling is that I don't know. I just don't think that he didn't expect, or he expected his father to. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're right. Maybe this wasn't what Aaron expected. But at the same time, he had this plan from the very beginning to come to this point and do what had to be done. Like you know what I mean? Like he knew he had to get here and convince his father. Otherwise the future wouldn't be the future that he saw.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it wouldn't have been the future
Okay.
that he lived, either.
Right.
If Grisha hadn't killed the Rice family here, the story, in the story of Attack on Titan would have been completely different from the start.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yep.
In my mind, like, this is always how it happened. Grisha always had this moment of doubt in this scene, but then overcame it through Aaron's spiritual encouragement, or whatever you want to call it.
That's not how you always thought about it, though.
Wait, did I say that I always thought about it that way?
No, I don't think it did.
How have you always thought?
No, I said that
this-
like I said I thought that was always how it happened.
Not
What
not that he always thought that, but that
But I thought that was always how it. I didn't always think that was always how it happened. I thought that was always how it happened. You get me?
No, I don't.
Okay,
Sorry.
let me take this slowly. Let me take this very slowly.
David.
So,
All
in
right.
my mind, the way I interpret this, the timeline of Attack on Titan and this scene in particular, this is how it happened. Like, even in the past, even, this whole turn of events happened exactly as we're seeing it right now in this chapter. That's how it happened.
Okay. How do you think that Grisha got the motivation, though? Before
He got it
this
through
scene?
Aaron from the future. He always got it through Aaron from the future.
yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
I didn't think that. I
No,
didn't
no.
think that before this chapter.
No, I never said, Steven, I
not
never
what we're-
said
that's
that
not
I
what we're
always
saying,
thought that.
Steven.
You're completely making that part up. I'm telling you now that like, having read this chapter, that's how it is. Because we've learned that now.
now you. Oh, I see what you're saying. I was gonna say like, how would you know this before this
Yeah,
chapter?
we had
No.
no idea this is the case.
No one
Okay,
could have
you
known
can
that.
you can edit that out, but I was gonna say like,
We'll see how I
I'm
edit that.
confused.
Yeah, it all depends.
But yeah,
and it-
Because now I get what you're saying now, because now it makes
Cool.
sense that
right.
this is how it happened.
I mean, yeah. Now that we know the whole scene and we've seen it,
Yeah.
yeah, good. We're all on the same page.
All right.
So what were you trying to say,
Hold on a
Peter? I don't know. Do you remember?
Was I going to have a point about that? I don't know.
Sorry.
No. It's
Sorry
it's
about
alright.
that, but
It's fine. I guess basically, it's just me saying that I don't think there's necessarily split timelines and stuff like that in Attack on Titan. But rather like some kind of cohesive timeline that takes into consideration the things that will happen in the future. Or I don't know if
Yeah.
I'm making any sense right now.
No, that makes sense. Because,
Yeah.
you could have it like where there's one timeline where, Aaron doesn't come and convince his father or whatever, but this is, like I said, this
Yeah.
is more of the Back to the Future stuff. Like the things that happen in the past, have already happened. Like that's why, the future is the way it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like-
It's like the same logic as in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, I guess.
Actually, that's even better. That's a better example.
I think it's pretty much, at least that's the way I like to interpret it. I think, like, because in that story, at least in the film, I don't recall the book as well right now, but at least in the film, I think Harry says something about, I knew I could do it because I'd already done it, or something like that. It's like, I mean, it's that kind of time travel, I suppose, sort of.
Yeah.
Even though, definitely very different, but
it's different because I mean we're not right. This is like
Yeah.
spirit memories transcending time in a very interesting manner.
Right.
But yeah, I do think that's how it is. So in order for Grisha to change his mindset, change his willingness to, or because he says he can't, I could never kill children. In order for that to happen, Aaron had to be there. Aaron had to like influence him in the spiritual manner.
Exactly. And yeah, he definitely, and like I like the panel where Grisha closes his eyes, and like he's just completely, he seems like he has no motivation to do it at all. He's given up completely, it seems. Frida is ready to defend her family, for whatever, and then Aaron steps in.
Yeah.
It's right at the lowest moment for Grisha, and he obviously, like, what makes this obviously not a coincidence, but rather like a definite, like, Aaron definitely influenced Grisha, is when we see his eyes light up, and Grisha's eyes as well. Like both of their eyes, like but both characters' eyes light up.
I didn't notice that.
I like how Zeke is like the reader, kind of in this scene. He's just watching.
Kind
this
of. Yeah,
play
he's
out.
very much an observer in this particular scene.
Mm-hmm.
But Zeke eyes are also glowing there. I did not even notice that. No, they are, because because you see Grisha getting stabbing his hand. Above him, Aaron's eyes are glowing, and then to the left you see Zeke, and I think his definitely eyes are glowing.
I can't wait to see this animated, because now I'm just like, are they? Is that actually what's being drawn here? But yeah, I can see it.
There's kind of a line on the eyes there,
Yeah,
Right.
I definitely see what you mean. I think it's more obvious on
I'm
the other
crazy.
two. It's more obvious on the other two. On Zeke, I'm a little bit like, I definitely could see it maybe being that they're glowing, but I'm not sure. Like, it's it's hard to.
Now I want to see this in color, because it would make much more sense.
I mean, yeah. Now that I look at it, I could be wrong, but there's just like this odd like line through his eyes that both Aaron, well, only Aaron has it. Zeke doesn't have, or Grisha doesn't have it for some reason. Doesn't look like it. But there's like that. You see with the white line that's going through his pupil.
Yeah.
It kind of comes off his eye or whatever. I don't know if that's just a printing thing.
Precisely. That's.
I don't know.
But I do see what you're saying, that they're maybe not quite glowing as the same as those two, but at the same time, maybe I don't know.
Who really knows?
Who knows?
Well, I think you guys may know more than I do.
I don't know. Either way, Aaron's and Grisha's eyes are definitely lighting up. So
Yeah.
So this is Grisha acting, as Aaron wants him to. He stabs his hand, and I look forward to seeing that hand stab in the anime.
You look forward to seeing that in the anime?
Dude, that's that's one of the appeals. One of the many appeals, I should say.
Okay, all right.
And this as well, lovely, like, giant founding titan head on the floor, and fat Grisha titan, or he's not fat, he's just wide, I guess. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's very interesting looking. I was like, dang, he let himself go. What happened to the attacking titan?
Yeah, I mean, we always knew, or we've seen his titan, the Grisha titan, before, and it's always been a little more.
We have, but I just for some reason, I just never. it never like crossed my mind how bulky, like you said, he was. Like it's
Right.
just,
Yeah, 'cause he's definitely
Why
not
is
like
that?
Aaron's or like Kruger's. Like Kruger's and Aaron Yeager's Titans are very similar in
Very
their
similar.
physique. But Grisha's
So that's
was
why
not
this
at
kind
all
of was
like
like,
that.
what? Yeah, good point.
But yeah, so it eventually did happen, and it was all thanks to Aaron. And he,
Yep.
like, do you guys have any thoughts on his expression here?
I do think maybe he feels. I mean, one could say that this looks like he's lost all feeling, but I think he kind of look. I think he looks sad about it. You know,
Yeah.
like he feels it's a shame that he has to kill fellow Eldians in
Yeah.
order to do what has to be done.
Right.
Yeah. And he has the same dedication as Zeke in that regard. Like they have very different goals, presumably, but they both are willing to, they go to very far lengths to get to their goal, to reach the goals. They both kill people of their own kind.
I think this goes back to what you brought up earlier: is that if someone is willing to take my freedom, I won't hesitate to take theirs. And
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Frida was very much trying to take what Aaron believed, his freedom,
Definitely.
the
Or
freedom
yeah,
of the Eldian
absolutely.
people. And so this was him not hesitating. But
Right.
obviously, I think he is a kind-hearted person in the end, and he does feel remorse. At least in my mind, he does. But
Yeah, and I agree. It definitely looks like he almost looks like it's like that expression kind of to me looks like a combination of a little bit of sadness and some just he looks tired too.
indifference.
Uh,
Tired. Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. That does. No, I agree. That does. He does look tired.
Maybe it took a lot of strength to influence Grisha. I don't know.
Maybe. Well, I mean, it's probably emotionally taxing on him. I think this whole thing ever since, well, as we'll see, ever since a certain scene, I think it's just been very. I think he's put the whole Eldian race on his shoulder in order to get the future that he believes is right.
Yeah. And moving on to the next scene, although it's like right afterward, something I thought was pretty cool with this particular scene, other than the actual contents of it, which are cool by themselves, but it's the fact that we, like, in the background, like, in the black,
Yeah.
we see Aaron kissing Historia's hand, like, throughout this whole scene.
Yeah.
So this, in particular, is probably something that he definitely knew of prior to coming back here. Like, at least that's how I interpret it. Everything that was going on in the Crystal Catacombs, maybe he didn't know exactly all of that prior, but this here,
okay.
he definitely, at least in the way I see it, that's at least for sure something that he already knew of.
Huh.
Maybe.
Interesting. Okay.
Because this is when
I didn't think about that.
It's kind of like at the same time as he kisses her hand, he witnesses this scene, or at least that's how I saw it. Because why else would we see the him kissing Historia's hand here, in particular?
Yeah, that's a good point. I just thought it was to emphasize the fact that this is where he saw the future. That what the future that where Eldians are free or something, or like his plan, and that because that's why like we get to the point where you I guess it's going a few ahead, but since you brought it up, the part where you see Grisha's hugging Zeke, Aaron, it just kind of has the look of just utter shock, and we've seen that face before, but it's in that moment when that we see it, and I think that moment is when he's seeing all of this. Not just this one scene, but all of it. And he knows and that's how he knows it's supposed to go down. And that's why this is so important to this, because Grisha knows that Aaron has seen all of it, and he knows what Aaron is going to do. But again, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself.
Well, no, I mean it's all right, and I think that's a possible way to interpret it as well.
But I do see what you're saying.
Yeah. Something that I thought was pretty interesting here, though, is uh, when Grisha is like sitting on his knees in the grass, just shouting into the sky, Aaron, I killed the Rice family. Other than the father, are you happy now? So that made me think that was this a deliberate choice by Aaron to spare Rod? Was
Yeah,
that like part of the
I
plan?
read some comment. Yeah, I read some
Hmm.
comment somewhere where they're like, did Aaron freaking plan that? So did Aaron choose his like the story, like how the story went in Attack on? He's like the fanfic, right? He's the original author or whatever.
Yeah, well, that's also something that I've seen. But this in particular, I mean, because obviously he can't control everything. The only thing he could
Yeah.
possibly control is previous Attack Titans. I'd assume. So,
True.
he's
But
still
what I mean by
limited.
like control is that letting the father live, it means paying for Historia, correct?
Partially, yeah.
I mean,
Maybe, yeah.
all these events of Historia's life happen because the father is still alive,
Yeah.
and I imagine Historia is already born at this point, or maybe not.
Historia is Aaron's age, and Aaron is like 9 or 10. He's 10 now.
Okay, well that's what I'm saying is that by letting the father live, you still get a bunch of crap that happens to Historia, like Historia being tempted by her father to eat Aaron and everything like that. You know
That
what I
whole
mean?
thing, yes. My theory though, as to because why would Aaron have that as a reason for sparing Rod? Like he wouldn't want to
Oh,
cause
I don't know. Like
Historia
it doesn't make
misery.
any sense.
Well, it kind of does, because my theory is that he deliberately decided to spare Rod's life because if he wouldn't spare Rod, then he would have never, like, 'cause it was Rod who was responsible during the Uprising arc for getting Aaron to the Crystal Catacombs
That makes
and
sense.
getting Historia
Yeah.
there, and
He
that was a major, he learned a lot from that,
that
and
makes
it
sense.
was ultimately a good thing
He
for Aaron.
knew he knew what had to be done. Right. That
He
makes
needed
sense.
he needed someone to give him that push, and Rod Rice
Mm-hmm.
could do that. So by sparing him, he would, I guess, it would benefit himself when he was younger. And
And it's
a
intense
bit-
that Aaron had to plan all that out, or like he had to
Yeah.
like
potentially
have all that
Yeah.
thought out or something,
right.
or it was
It is.
told to him. I don't even know.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I don't know
to
who
process.
I don't know who would have told him, but or how he would have figured it out himself. But he potentially he did.
I think during this 4-year time gap that there was, or I guess technically a 3-year time gap for the Paradise Eldians. But like during that time gap, Aaron grew a lot. Like
Oh yes.
You know.
Yes. No doubt.
he has improved a lot. Like when it comes to, I guess, just like strategy and how to,
Right.
you know.
I think we mentioned that. Like
I think we probably talked
in,
about that.
in,
Yeah,
in the last.
he's become more of a leader as well, and or partially. But anyway, moving on in this scene.
This is probably one of my favorite scenes, I think, personally.
It's very nice, and like, because what I like here is like at the bottom of this one page we have Grisha saying, "Was this really the only way? You're there, aren't you?" And when we assume he's talking to Aaron, then we
Yeah.
flip the page and no, Zeke, are you there, Zeke? Yeah, and Zeke's expression here is really good.
That is a really interesting comment. Like, Grisha already knows a general idea of what's happening right now. He can foresee, like, Zeke's motivations and
Aaron's.
what Aaron thinks.
He can see Aaron's future memories.
Right, exactly.
So I'm curious why you say this is your favorite part. I don't think we got to hear why you said it's your favorite part. I mean, not saying it's a bad favorite part now or anything. I just want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah.
I mean, for one, I still don't understand because I didn't pay it too much thought when I was first reading. I don't understand Aaron kissing Historia's hand. I don't understand the significance of that. But I love father-son stories. And I really like this interaction that Grisha has with Zeke, now that Zeke is obviously much older than when the last time he saw Grisha, and vice versa, right? So now that they have, like, now that Zeke has these experiences behind him, and now that Grisha has raised another child, he kind of regrets the way that he treated Zeke.
Precisely. Yeah, and it is, in a way, this conversation does bring some closure, I think, for Zeke.
Yeah.
Because all his life he's grown up pretty much hating his father. And now he sees his father in this state, and how his father has been, like, it's kind of funny. Like, Zeke was influenced and kind of brainwashed by Grisha. But now here we see Grisha being influenced and, in a way, brainwashed by Eren. And so Zeke is seeing his father.
Doesn't that sound sinister?
It really does. It
Come
really does.
on, that's what I was talking about. Like, they're just he flipped it in a way that he's making Eren seem like, even more so than before, that he's the bad guy.
Yes.
Like, we've gone from, like, out of character Eren being a jerk to now to in last chapter getting old Eren's back, and now and then slowly we come to the point where now we're like, wait, is Eren evil? No, I don't think that's the case. I think there's either a misunderstanding or something else is going to happen. But my gosh, like that, to me that kind of scared me. That kind of was like, whoa, like this what is going down? What is this ghastly thing that Grisha is horrified at?
Exactly.
Anyway,
absolutely. Yeah, he said, I saw Eren's memories of what's next, but I can't believe it. To think it would become that ghastly. Like, and he, oh my god. I just want to know. I just want to know what Grisha knows.
Another thing that I want to point out is, like, at the start of this, you know, do we call it like a time travel sequence? When they start going into the flashbacks and everything?
Flashbacks.
Flashbacks, yeah. It's just, Zeke went into these, like, from the very first one, he's like, alright, I'm going to 100% be against my father. I'm going to show, I'm going to show Eren, you know, this is who your father is, right? He is not a good man. And now, I think this interaction here is the perfect exclamation point on Zeke finally understanding who his father was in the final moments of his life.
Yeah.
He's finally accepting who his father can be.
I agree with that. I was going to say this to the my very last point, but since you brought it up, I think this shows that everyone's misconceptions of how bad a person Grisha was is just not true. I think Grisha is inherently a good person, and he's a repentant person. He's made mistakes in the past, and sure, he wasn't the best father to Zeke, and he knows this. He even admits it. But to say that he's a terrible human being is not accurate in my mind.
Yeah.
And and obviously he didn't want to massacre these people. And I think that was a big problem that a lot of people had with him, is that, he's the same old Grisha. He just goes in and kills all these people to get the founding titan. But I mean, he did do that. But in reality, it was Eren pulling the strings.
Yeah. I think this just makes both characters so much better, because Zeke finally sees, a different picture of his father, and Grisha finally admits to his mistakes. He's not fully comfortable with what he just did, especially. And it was not his fault, like you said, James.
Yeah.
Not entirely, at least.
I mean, he made mistakes. He really did. I don't want to,
of course.
Say he was really he didn't make mistakes. Zeke,
I'm just saying that I just really like, this is probably one of my favorite scenes, at least, of the last couple arcs.
Right. It really makes for a beautiful narrative, I think. And
over
these past 2 chapters, Grisha has really, really started to grow on me, and he's becoming one of my favorite characters of the story.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm really
Yeah.
intrigued by his character, and if we get to see more of him, which we might not, but if we do, I welcome it.
Yeah.
But this might be it for him in this story. But still, I'm very happy with what we've seen.
What if Aaron was the one that influenced, and maybe this is true. What if Aaron was the one that influenced Grisha to, have younger Aaron eat him? You know what I mean? Like he was the one that was nagging him to do that.
Actually, I had that thought too.
But the counter to that, and we'll get to this later, but there is a counter to that point that I will bring up later towards the end here.
Okay, that's fair.
Last chapter or last episode when we talked about the chapter before this, I said I made a point against Grisha, saying that it wasn't right of him to force 2 Titans onto his 10-year-old son. And that whole responsibility thing. and reading after this chapter, I'm like...
Right. Well, you remember what I said? I said it was because Aaron wanted it. Like, he knew Aaron could take it, is what I said. That was the kind of personality his son had. But literally, it was Aaron who wanted it. Who probably told his dad.
Very, very possibly.
I mean, I guess I can't say for sure, but to me, it feels like that way,
Right.
I guess I'll just say my point now.
Do it.
Well, I mean, for one, Grisha obviously can see the future holder's memories, so he already knew that this was going to happen in the first place.
Well, no. So that's another thing I wanted to bring up. So it kind of so going on with that point. There's a point where he asks Aaron, "Why won't you show me everything?" So. Yeah. Does Aaron have the ability to conceal or hide certain memories? I mean, that's what's certainly implied. Like, can Aaron can see everything, but he can keep other Attack Titans from seeing all things?
Well, I think the way I interpreted it is that as an Attack Titan, you can choose to show the ones that were before you certain things and conceal certain things.
You choose. So, like, Kruger could keep certain memories away from Aaron if he wanted to.
I think it only goes backward, at least with those types of memories. Although,
so Aaron can see everything in the past, or
maybe at least possibly.
And here's the other side of my point that I was going to bring up later. We did not see in these flashback revisiting sequences, we did not see Aaron convince Grisha to give him the Titan, because this is the last flashback before they go back to the World Tree. Mm-hmm. That's what it's in English. I don't remember the Greek name or the Norse
the Greek name.
It's Norse.
Norse. You just offended him.
but you get what I mean, like
Yggdrasil.
Yggdrasil.
But although it's not Yggdrasil, I mean it's a fucking path.
But
anyway,
you get the idea.
I get.
Yeah.
Aaron, we did not see Aaron do it. Therefore, my theory is that Grisha was not influenced by Aaron to give Aaron the Titan.
Yeah, I actually.
That's a good point.
I actually think I agree with that, because I was also thinking about this. What Aaron and Zeke are doing right now is not a normal Titan power.
No.
What they're doing right now is not the Attack Titan's ability.
No, right. You're right. It's the founding Titan, and that's why Aaron needed this to happen in order for, all these events to happen.
Yeah.
This is all part of Aaron's plan.
So this direct type of influencing, like he did with the Grisha in the Crystal Catacombs, I don't think happened anywhere else necessarily. Although his memories could have still influenced him, but not in an as a direct type of way, possibly.
Right. So I agree that it can't, because we don't see it. It can't be exactly like how it was in the Crystal Cave thingy, with the founding Titan. It can't be exactly that way. However, it's possible that Aaron either showed or told Zeke in some manner that Grisha. I may be going back and forth on that. I keep because Zeke is easier to say. Anyway, Grisha, he told Grisha that you need to give me, Eren, these powers, the Titan powers, the Attack Titan and Founding Titan. I think he could have influenced him in that way, whether by showing memories or telling him beforehand, and we just don't see it. But because it seemed like that they were already, he had already been talking to Grisha in some manner, in some way. You know what I mean? Like it seemed like Grisha already knew what Eren wanted, even before that whole interaction with the Founding Titan.
I absolutely think that Eren could have influenced Grisha in other ways. Like, as we know, since the Attack Titan will see its future Attack Titan's memories, Grisha would have received. He would have gotten.
He would have gotten Eren's memories then.
Yeah, exactly. Like future Eren memories, although they wouldn't have been conveyed to him in the same way as Eren interacts with him in this chapter.
Correct.
So,
but absolutely.
Like I said earlier, I'm under the assumption of like, Grisha saw this, therefore he knows it needs to happen. Because if it's true that Eren directly influenced Grisha, I believe he would have seen that. I'm basically saying seeing is believing in this case. I think we would have seen Eren talk to Grisha and convince him, if that were to be the case.
But like, do you mean for the Grisha giving Eren the Titan powers?
Yes.
But
then why? But then why does he do it?
Because it has to. Because he saw it in the future.
Okay, it has to be done because Eren showed him the memories, showed certain memories. Why won't you show me everything?
Oh, that's because you're still holding on to the point of like, Eren can give Grisha memories, right? That's what.
But he can. We learned that from this chapter,
okay,
right?
I get where you're coming from now. All right, I see.
And actually, a little bit later, like when they leave the memory area of this chapter, Eren says, "You haven't gotten to the part where I eat our old man yet." So supposedly there is something at play there too.
Oh yeah, we're not done yet. Oh, hold up. Yeah, guys, we're not even done yet.
Yeah, he even alludes to that.
We may go back into the memory because
we may.
Yeah.
We definitely may.
We might.
Yeah.
We could. Yeah.
And since Eren mentions this particular moment, I feel like there's something there as well. Something we know that he has had a hand in.
That makes sense.
Right,
actually.
exactly. Like he was the one to convince. I believe.
Yeah.
In some capacity.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Well, that settles it, then, gentlemen.
There you go. Okay.
that puts an end to that conversation.
Jeez, Peter, way to lay the hammer. Gosh, man, I can't speak English.
Hey, it's fine.
We've been talking for a little bit long here. So
I have a really dry mouth, but I do still want to keep talking a little bit.
Okay. No, yeah, I'm good. Let's go.
Well, of course, it's seeing these heartfelt moments between these two characters. It's lovely.
Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna when I do my rewatch, or maybe I should read the manga. I don't know, but
I'd recommend reading the manga from the start. It's honestly like.
The guy who said he wanted me to rewatch it in English.
I mean, I want you to do that too.
But that's beside the point. I'm just saying, like, I would need to experience the title again before I definitively say it. But this is one of my favorite scenes.
And it's a very well made scene. It's amazing, and
it really is. Can I just bring the point that when Grisha hugs Zeke, there's kind of like this, like, because obviously he's steaming from just being a Titan, but it almost is as if all of Zeke's hatred toward his father melts away, kind of just goes away. And you look at his face; it's almost like, I mean, obviously he's teary-eyed, not euphoric, but he's just like, I think he has like this great weight lifted off him, and that weight is just like melts off during that embrace.
It kind of goes with what I said earlier. Is like he goes into this whole flashback sequence holding a grudge, holding a giant grudge against his father. And in this scene, he kind of just puts that weight off.
He lets it go. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, whether or not he admitted it or was willing to admit that he had a grudge against his father, at this point, I think he's finally come to terms with that and come to terms with his father.
Yeah.
I do think it's over. Now, I'm not saying he doesn't have the same views as, oh, I want to euthanize everybody, all the Eldians. I mean, he could still easily carry that. But now there is, like Petter said, closure between the two.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. And the last thing he says here, Grisha says to Zeke as they're embracing one another, you have to stop Eren. So, like, it's like...
What?
Yeah.
Whew.
And that's like the last thing before we go, like, before the two brothers, they stop holding their foreheads together.
And obviously we get
Yep.
the Aaron's, younger Aaron's just mind-blown look there. I mean, we've already mentioned that, but just...
Oh, yes.
That look. That look.
As he,
Yeah.
But we saw that same, pretty much the same...
Right. I know.
Panel. But yes, it's
I was just
good.
saying, it just anyway, I don't know. I just really like it. That's why I wanted to bring it up.
It's great. Yes, and so we're back in quote unquote present day, even though this realm is kind of untouched by time and all that. And here is where Eren says, you haven't gotten to the part where I eat our old man yet. So now we're up to speed on that.
Yep.
I think honestly, as we said earlier in this discussion, Grisha held on to this desire to protect Eren for a very long time, even after Eren kind of turned his back on Zeke. But I think after having talked to his father and after this moment with Grisha, and after Grisha told him that he has to stop Eren, I think Zeke has somewhat of a new perspective on Eren, especially with,
Yeah.
we can see in his face here, and his desperation to call the founder Ymir to execute his ultimate plan. Mm-hmm. Like with that whole...
That's true. That he does do that. So there you go.
So I think this is the moment where where Zeke has finally kind of let go of the need to, to be there as a mentor figure for Eren. I think he's let go of that, or maybe.
Yeah.
It's an interesting chapter for sure.
Mm-hmm. No. Of course, at the very end, the last couple panels, Eren tries to stop Ymir, and then it cuts away.
Well,
Yes.
before you go there, I really want to touch on the part where Zeke says that's because he saw memories. Grisha saw memories further into future. You showed him something that's yet to happen. That just, again, like, obviously we touched on the
Right.
ghastly thing, but that is like, what could he have possibly shown to Grisha that, influenced him so much?
Precisely.
It's
And
it's fun to think about.
That's the weird, and like I also get the feeling like Grisha seems to have seen the ending of the story pretty much, and that was what he was referring to as this ghastly thing, and he was all upset about. But Eren shouldn't be able to know of that, can he? Since it hasn't happened yet, and he shouldn't be able to know his own future memories, or can he do that?
Well, but that's explained. But that's explained in the next panel. He said, "I saw it 4 years ago. Memories of a future me within our old man's memories." He saw the future. His own future within his dad's memories, which is which is kind of like a time whole time thing, apocalypse thing, or whatever it's called.
Paradox.
Time paradox. Paradox.
Maybe a paradox. I don't know, but I mean, there's logic to it. Like with the system
there is.
that they've established, it does make sense.
Right.
And yes, that slipped my mind. That is interesting. Since they can basically read each other's memories.
Yeah.
Then Eren is able to see his own future memories as well. Yeah, that's crazy. That is crazy. So Eren knows what's going to happen.
Titan OP. Just kidding.
So basically, so Grisha and Eren both know how it's going to end, potentially. And now Zeke is doing everything he can in desperation to prevent that from happening. But can you?
But Zeke doesn't even know. Yeah, can you? That's a good point.
Like, can you prevent the future from happening the way it's supposed to happen? Or are your attempts at stopping it just going to make it happen anyway? Like, you know?
Here's my negative side on it. What if Grisha said that because in order for the future that they saw to happen, Zeke needs to try to execute this plan. And Grisha said what he said in order for it to influence Zeke to do that. Now that's very like opposite of optimist, pessimistic. I know that, and then it's almost like a little underhanded on Grisha's part.
Or on Aaron's part, probably.
Well, I guess Aaron, yeah, because Aaron would have told him to do that.
Yeah.
So I don't exactly know, and there are,
Right.
and obviously Aaron has hid things from Grisha, so maybe Grisha doesn't know that in order for the plan to work, he has to, or Zeke has to do even more, like try to
Exactly.
execute the plan.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
there's a few things. I to me, this is inevitable. No matter what Zeke does, or at least what Zeke is doing now, is, in my mind, going to further, or is part of Aaron's plan. It is the future. Now, if Zeke were to stop doing what he was doing, maybe that would change. I don't know, but to me, like that's it is all according to plan.
Yeah, but the weird, and I'm also like probably on the same side there. Like, it's probably all going according to plan for Aaron. However, his expression when Zeke makes the call, he does look kind of shocked and like he's in despair. As he's chasing after Ymir the founder, he's like, "Oh shit! What the fuck? Holy shit!" Right?
I mean that's a good point,
Yeah.
but I don't know. One, this is a suspenseful moment, so it would be kind of funny if he didn't. And maybe it's an act, but at the same time, that's you're going quite a bit above and beyond. Losing your finger or whatever in order to.
His thumbs, like both his thumbs.
Oh, both his thumbs. Yeah.
Yeah, to like fit through the like the cups.
Yeah. That was his thumb.
His thumbs go off.
Go bye-bye.
Oh, I can't wait to see that animated.
Yep.
So you do bring up a good point, but
It's very interesting, and this the chapter before this just kind of ended. It didn't end with a cliffhanger or anything, but this one,
right,
this one definitely did.
right, yes, for sure, for sure. And then each chapter just gets better and better. From the chase scene to Zeke, or race to the Zeke, till now, it gets better and better.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
It's incredible.
I'm ready to see what's next for sure.
Yeah, and we're seeing. I think this is the first time we actually are able to kind of see the founder Ymir's eyes, even though they're still kind of obscured.
Now, do they look close to you, I don't know.
I don't think she has pupils.
Either she does, either they're just white eyes or they're closed. I think it's hard to
I can see the white eyes too, but I also see them being close. I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess
That's what I'm
exactly.
saying.
Either
Is having white eyes and not having pupils is to me the same thing.
No,
So,
it is.
yeah.
It is. You're right. There's just another way to say it.
It's
Yeah.
But they could also be closed. It's hard to tell by this image. But I think because before we haven't even seen any eyes being there. If I recall. Not that it probably doesn't have any significance unless it does.
It could.
Who knows?
It's really interesting to see her clothing, just all tattered and torn like that.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if her status when she was alive, because I still think she was a person, an actual person born to the world, and that's how the Titans came to be. It makes you wonder if her status was not one of luxury and, divinity, but more along the lines of poverty and
Right.
You know, slavery, maybe even.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Wouldn't that be?
I mean, she's
interesting?
kind of a slave. She's kind of a slavery to her own lineage. She's a slave to her
yeah.
own lineage at this point.
Yes. Oh, yes. Absolutely.
So maybe that's what he's going for there.
Precisely. Yeah. I am very excited see all of these
Sorry,
future
I'll stop.
reveals coming.
I will stop pontificating.
There. But I said I was gonna talk a little bit about various time theories that I've
Oh yes, sorry.
stumbled across
Go ahead.
online since this chapter came out. There's a couple different ones. One thing that I've heard is that there's a bunch, like, it's basically like the typical, like, when you travel back in time, there's a split in the timeline and you go on to a different branch, like that timeline theory thing. That's true for the Zelda games, for example, and for a lot of things, really. And in some of those theories, I've heard people speculate about Aaron having having traveled back in time many times, or like done things over and over to kind of get this one perfect world line
Going all Steins Gate.
Exactly, yeah.
I was gonna say he's gonna
we
talk
just-
about
Go
Steins
on.
Gate, isn't he?
Yeah, and we just don't know it because we haven't been following for
It's possible
in that way.
I mean,
Like-
like you look at, like, you remember that chapter I mentioned with Hanj? I'm not kidding when he just like assaulted and just went crazy on
Yeah.
Hanj. Like,
Yeah, no, I do remember that.
like, because basically she accuses him of not doing anything, and maybe that got to him. He's like, not doing anything.
Yeah.
Time traveling, but again, that's just
Well,
that's
what's
just a
the,
speculation.
Yeah, I do think that one's like. I personally hope that one isn't true because I feel like that would be a little
Yeah.
too much. Even though it's interesting for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, I agree.
Yeah.
What was the other one?
Another one? Well, I kind of mentioned it earlier, and it's the one that I'm I guess personally kind of hoping for is for it to just be like one cohesive timeline where, like as we said, like with like Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, that type of time
I think
travel.
that's what it is, actually. Yeah.
I hope so.
I would
and
buy into it.
I think
like
it
that
makes
one
sense.
the most.
And then there's one other that I think is very interesting, very, very interesting. I think I've heard from two different sources too, so it's a relatively popular one, I suppose. And it's like a circular timeline, where
Huh?
I think I know. Keep going.
where Aaron somehow is the Earth Devil, and he will eventually, grant someone the Titan. Now I don't remember the details exactly, but they were pretty worked out
You'll have to
theories.
send us a link. You'll have to send us where you found
Yeah,
this.
and for those
Historia's
listening,
child becomes the Yimmer. Like,
Yes,
they name her.
that-
Oh my god, because they'll name her Yimmer because obviously Historia has deep connection to Yimmer.
after her best friend.
Oh.
She will name her daughter Ymir after her best friend, and Aaron will grant this girl the power of the Titans for whatever reason.
That could be it.
It's a bit weird, but I wouldn't put it past Isayama really to do something like that.
I would after these past couple chapters, I wouldn't either.
That's a
And
good thing. Oh wow.
What's
I
cool
wish I
about
would've thought of
that? What's cool about that, in my opinion, is also that if Isayama went this route, then he would not only give us an ending to the story, he would at the same time explain the origin of the story at
Yeah.
the same time as
Yeah.
ending the story. It would be very efficient. And yeah, I don't know.
That is interesting though.
If you're interested in that, like, I'm sure you can easily find like those types of theories by searching for it. There's there were some pretty well worked out ones that were very interesting.
In a sense, that's a tragedy because this world, this timeline just never ends.
Exactly, it will just keep repeating itself, and there's a name for it. It's a bootstrap
Now-
theory, or
Do you,
I don't.
but there's the name for that type of time loop where, like, imagine like, what are some famous like inventors? Edison invented the light bulb, for example.
Well,
Let's say a time traveler traveled back in time and
Right.
To the time before Edison invented the light bulb and told him, hey, you can make a light bulb by doing this. And then Edison did that. And
So
then
that happens in Steins Gate as well. Like, well, at least in Steins Gate Zero, that happens. In
Yes.
Right. And then that person, centuries later will travel back again and teach, and then eventually it'll be where did the notion of the light bulb originate?
Well, that's also the Song of Storms.
Oh yes, in Zelda.
Who
Yes,
learned it
exactly.
originally.
It's the exact same thing, and it would kind of become that.
Now-
where do the Titans originate from?
Right. My one question is, with the child Ymir, however it's pronounced, it's probably Ymiru or something like that. Anyway,
Yeah.
How would the timeline work? Because if the theory is that it's Historia's child, then that would put it in the a few years in the future. So does this chain keep happening, but technology still progresses, or
I don't know.
something?
It's
because it would have to be way in the past in order for it to just exactly be a circle.
Yeah, another thing, I suppose, a similar one to that, it's also one of these looped timelines. One of them having Historia's daughter potentially becoming the Ymir, the founder Ymir, but another theory is that Eren potentially, along with Zeke, traveling back to the original Ymir, and they granting her the Titan powers.
Oh, Titan.
No. They gave her the Titan powers, they being the so-called devils of Earth or Earth devils.
I don't buy into that one.
That one I think is almost equally interesting because that's even more the Song of Storms effect.
Yeah, it's true.
I think that could be interesting as well.
It also requires Zeke to cooperate a heck of a lot more than it is.
But as I said though, the one that I'm hoping for is more it's just it's a linear timeline, but it's just the one timeline. Is my personal preference, even though some of these others could be really cool.
Well, I think we can learn from this is to keep an open mind. I mean,
yes.
none of us really expected this kind of a chapter. Eren technically pulling the strings to the whole thing.
That's the thing, though. That's the thing with these.
I guess just keep your expectations just wide.
Yeah. I will say this: the only time when I've been able to predict something in this story was the identity of the female Titan.
Yeah, I mean that was that was.
I think a lot of people were able to figure out that was Annie.
Yeah.
That's at least for me. That's the only time where I've been able to predict something. So, I wouldn't be surprised if all of these timeline theories, all of these speculations are all wrong.
Yeah.
Or I mean, I guess the one that I'm hoping for it to be is kind of simple, and I guess that one could make sense for it to be. But these very detailed speculations, they're probably not true, any of them, because Hajime Isayama has a way about him that he is very good at being unpredictable.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Any predictions for the next chapter?
Oh.
Well, I guess we just said that Isayama is unpredictable, so.
I mean, I think we pretty much said, earlier in the discussion, much earlier, what we think will happen next. I mean, I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Actually, you know what? I'm going to make the joke again. 3rd episode in a row. The next chapter will be about Levi and Hanji.
Yeah.
Could be. At this point, I don't know.
So
it's a joke. It's a joke.
So I think that
I'm not saying it's impossible, though, honestly.
Well, right. No, last chapter you guys mentioned, they'll probably just do it, or not probably, but they could do a half this and then go to Levi or something like that. And I thought they were just going to full on do a full thing, full memory, not knowing where he was going with it, but just, still continue on with his memory journey. I think because where we are right now, with this cliffhanger, he could leave us in suspense like that. That is a possibility. More so than the cliffhanger that it wasn't really cliffhanger last chapter. But I think it's more susceptible to that kind of cliffhanger now than it was before. However, it could easily just continue on where it is right now. So
Yeah. I think it will continue on,
Yeah.
personally, just because this is such a major thing right now. But who knows? Who really knows?
right.
Yep.
Right.
We'll find out next month.
We will.
Hopefully.
It will be a long month, or half a month by
It
now,
will
almost.
be a long one.
Not quite. It's
By the
almost
time of publishing, it'll be a little over a half month until we get our next chapter.
yes.
So.
Very well. If anybody listened to this, if you have any thoughts on the chapter, feel free to leave it in the comments. We appreciate the attention that you have given us for the past 2 hours. We've been talking for almost 2 hours.
Yes, please tell us how you disagree
With
our
everything I
theories
said,
here.
and especially the incorrect stuff, because oh my
Specifically
god,
the things that
Alright.
James said. No.
Yeah, there you go.
I said some stupid things about Aaron and
Hey.
All right.
Well, well, with that said, I guess thank you everyone, and bye bye. See you later.
Have a good one.
Bye bye.